Revit is a three-dimensional architectural software program, and as we learned last week, it takes advantage of BIM, Building Information Modeling. But what does that mean? It means we will be modeling our building in 3 dimensions here in the drawing area. But how does Revit and the user organize that information? How do we view it? How do we work with it? And most importantly, how do we extract information from it? Let's take a look first at the user interface. As I just described, this is the drawing area. This is where we'll be modeling the building. We'll do most of our work in this area. This is the view. Up here is the ribbon. Ever since 2010, Revit went to a ribbon format to closely match their other Autodesk programs. On the ribbon, you'll see that there are tabs. And as you highlight and select each tab, you will see that there are different panels. This is a panel. Here is another panel. This is the model site panel. And that is how you invoke tools. Up here at the top, that is your quick access bar. You can quickly access tools that you use most often. One that I use very often is the 3D View tab, or I should say the button. As we work our way down, this is the Properties palette. Whenever you select an object that you have created, or if you have not selected anything, it will give you properties of the view. So, for instance, if I have created a wall, and I select that wall, in my Properties palette, I will find lots of information about that wall. And I can change that information either in the drawing area, for instance the length, or in the Properties palette, wall center line, or what level it's on, how tall it is, things of that nature. In addition, I can, and we'll learn this later, I can create different types of walls through the Type Properties palette. Working down our left side of the screen, we get to the Project Browser. This is how we organize our model and our drawings. You can see here that it is organized by floor plans, ceiling plans, and elevations. As you create other types of views, details, drafting views, sections, they will be added to this. Likewise, when we start adding sheets to our program, so we can put views onto a sheet, print them out, and give them to a contractor, that will be labeled under this heading here, under Sheets. As we work our way across the screen, we get to our View Control bar. There are items here where you can change what the view looks like, what scale it is at, what detail level it's at, hidden view, wireframe, consistent, realistic, so what type of view you want to look at, and other settings like the sun path, if you want shadows on or off, the crop view or the crop view region to be shown, and so on and so forth. And finally, over in this corner is the status bar. To invoke tools on Revit, there are several different methods. One is by using the ribbon and finding the tool icon and selecting that to create or invoke the tool that you want to use. For instance, if I was going to create a wall, I would go to the Architecture tab on the Build panel and select Wall. And even the tool Wall has a drop-down menu. So I can pick a wall that's an architectural or a structural wall, or create a wall from a mass, which is the tool Wall by Face. The other way to create or invoke tools is by hotkeys. A hotkey is a 2-key stroke without needing to use the return button or the enter button. So for instance, Same tool, wall. Instead of going to my icon, I could just type in WA, and that will allow me to create a wall. That is my hotkey. Now there's a list of hotkeys on Revit that it comes with by default. And if you go to View, to User Interface, way at the end, and you can go to Keyboard Shortcuts. And here is a dialog box that shows you all of the shortcuts associated with all the tools. So if you want to search for one, we can search for wall, and we find that wall, the shortcut or the hotkey is WA. You can modify this if you want by selecting the tool and pressing new keys. If you wanted it to be WW for wall, you could assign it like that. And now if you typed in WA or WW, you would invoke the wall tool. I'm going to cancel out of that because I don't want WW to be the wall tool. As I'm using the tools in Revit and modeling, there are times when within a tool there are other commands. Let's go back to the wall command. If I type in WA for wall, let's try that again. WA for wall. WA for wall. Here I am, and I can see that I have a chain command on. That means with every click I will continually create a chain of walls as opposed to just one segment. So let's wall, my chain command is checked. I can click and I will model a wall. When I click again, it just ends that one segment, but I keep going. And I will keep doing this until I select another tool, or more often when I press the escape key. When I press the escape key, it canceled the chain of walls, but I'm still in the wall command. You can see up here, and the Modify Place Wall tab has been created, so you know that I can start creating more walls. If I hit escape again, I stop that chain, but again, I'm still in my wall tool. What I need to do is hit escape again, and I will get out of the wall tool. The lesson here is, if you get stuck in Revit within a tool and you don't know how to get out, my advice to you is to press escape 7 times. That should do it. If you press it 7 times, I assure you, you will be out of the tool that you are in. So we've looked at the user interface, and we've looked at how to invoke tools and start modeling a little bit. But how do we get Revit to show us the model in the way we want to? Well, let's first look at view-specific commands. These commands will change the view that we're looking at in a way we want. It will also give us a little information on how Revit is organized. If you type in VG for visibility graphics, you will get this dialog box. What it means is visibility or graphic overrides for this view. This view is floor plan 1. And by default it looks like this, but we can change what that looks like through the VG dialog box. Another important aspect to this box is it gives you a little hint of how Revit is organized. In your book, on chapter 1, pages 5 and 6, you will see the 4 categories that Revit uses to organize the model that you're creating. Likewise, or very similar, the tabs in the Visibility Graphic Override dialog box shows some of those categories. The first 2 are the main ones, the model categories and the annotation categories. Model categories are everything that you model that you'll see in every view. A wall you'll see whether you're looking at it in floor plan or elevation or section or even a detail. The annotation categories are text, dimensions, detail lines, and they only show up on the one view that you're working on. The other 2 categories that are not listed on these tabs are the datum and the view categories. Again, if you look in your book, you can find more information about that. And through the combination of the modeling tools and the annotation tools, we can extract information from our model, which gets us back to BIM, Building Information Modeling. We can extract information, and that's the important point here. We can extract information from the model that we've created and display it in many different forms to show whoever we need to show, usually a contractor, so he knows how to build the model or the building or the design that we have created. We can create a model of a building, and from that create schedules, area schemes, cost estimates, and we can even produce two-dimensional drawings, all of which the contractor will use to be able to build the design that we've created. Remember, you get out of Revit what you put into the model.